16 tells of David's love of the Lord. And really, ironically, it's the remedy to the heart's sadness and brokenness. If we were to follow the remedy of how David delighted himself in the Lord, we would all overcome the things that detour us and put us in the thorn bushes. God provides love and transformation through Psalm 116. And it's what the Lord gave me. You know, in the past, Psalm 119, 105 was my life verse. It still is. The lamp at your feet, the word is a light at your path. That's true. In 2020 to 2021, Ephesians 5, that 15 to 17 was actually my life verse. Earlier, when we first were about the local church, I was embraced with the Acts 2 model. Anything that didn't match up to the pillars of Acts 2 was not on my to-do list. Call you in a year or two. Gotta go. The church, the people together. Let's build, let's go. But this year I asked myself about, Lord, what's this year's verse going to bring to me? And he showed me, 116, verse 12. What shall I render unto you, God, for all the blessings that you have given me? Like David, I found when I choose to remain in the love of God and stay about him and stay about my Father's business, I automatically become encouraged. It's really unique that I could be ho-humming about this or that, but when I pause that button and move that to the back of my mind and start to put to the forefront the things of God, this kind of fades away and goes. Let's read just very quickly Psalm 116, verse 12. What shall I return to the Lord for all his goodness to me? I'll lift up the cup of salvation, and I will call upon the name of the Lord in the presence of his people. Precious in the sight of the Lord is the death of his faithful servants. Truly, I am the servant of the Lord. Remember, David's writing this. I serve you just as my mother did. He didn't mention his father uniquely, just as my mother did. You have freed me from my chains. I will sacrifice a thank offering to you and call on the name of the Lord. I will fulfill my vows. Now this is a young David. I will fulfill my vows to the Lord in the presence of his people, in the courts of the house of the Lord, in your midst, Jerusalem. This is a guy, I believe, who has hit so many places in his life where he could have thrown in the towel and given up. But he said, no, I will fulfill my vows. What's it look like? What's the blueprint of practical application? Number one, because of God's love, we can render our prayers unto God. Our prayers. The Lord heard David, the Lord helped David, and the Lord honored David. God had loved him and freed him and liberated him. This is what God has done for us as believers. We are liberated from our sentence through salvation. We're liberated from our sorrows. We can be liberated from our stumbling. Because of God's love, what can we render? We can render ourselves in servitude, in duty, unto the Lord as his ambassadors of love. When we speak of God's love, we can talk about how David rendered 7 vows of servitude and duty. He loved the Lord. He called upon him. We can walk with God. We can take up the cup of salvation. Literally, just very briefly, the meaning of the cup of salvation here is David was saved, and for us, Jesus gave us the covenant, the new covenant of redemption that secures our salvation. Hebrews 9:12, neither by the blood of goats or calves, but by his own blood he entered in once into the holiest place. Jesus entered once and for all. It was done for us, eternal redemption. The message of the cup is submission. I will call upon the name of the Lord. Calling upon the name of the Lord is submitting ourselves to saying, Lord, help me. Lord, show me. Lord, guide me. The ministry of the cup is service. We can display a commitment. We can offer our sacrifice. We can call upon the name of the Lord. And David, lastly, because of God's love, we can render our delight in the Lord as his ambassadors. We can delight in his promises. We can delight in his pardon. We can delight in his power. We delight in God's presence. And we delight to come here together and online together and unite together to give him praise. When we're hurting and discouraged, I would ask you, Don't go the route of bitterness. Go the route of God's love. Very quickly capture how we can delight in God. Very quickly capture how we can forgive one another. I want to watch a brief video, if we have that video ready. This is a video on what's it mean to be an ambassador for the love of God. God has given us his love, his hope, his promises. Let's take that and not forget. I used to say, I don't ever want to be ungrateful Israel. God gave the water, but where's the food? He brings water out of a stone, but they're complaining and grumbling about the food. I want to go back to Egypt. No, don't grumble. Remember all that God has done for us to stir up in our hearts ways that we can now pour it out as an ambassador for God.